A lot of you recommended this movie to me, but I heard it's not really good, it's very average. So I finally watched this film before I make my best films of 2020 video, and I have to tell you, I am impressed. Hello guys, I'm Nona, and today we'll be talking about the Malayalam film Anjaam Pathiraa, written and directed by Midhun Manuel Thomas, starring Kunchacko Boban, Sharaf U Dheen, Sreenath Bhasi, Jinu Joseph, Unnimaya Prasad, and many more. Now this film really impressed me, and I don't say that often for a thriller film made in India, because most times it's very average. Now I want to make it clear that this film is not perfect. There are some issues with it and I'll talk about it later. Now a lot of you had recommended this movie and I was delaying it because I was getting counter comments saying don't watch it, it's not worth it. And I can understand why this is a polarizing film, because the people who have seen Hollywood films or international thriller films, they have seen the best of the best, and for them this will be very average. But for the people who haven't seen them and this is their exposure to thriller films, they would love this. They would call it a masterpiece also, and I can understand that. Now I lie in the middle. I've not seen all the best thrillers out there, but some of them, and when I see a well-made thriller, I'm happy. It has issues, but I like the attempt to make a very good thriller film, and I like the fact that it's not very cliched. The characters, the plot, it doesn't end the same way as every film does. The treatment is very different, it's very authentic, it's very real, and most importantly, it's fresh. One of the reasons for it can be that it's based on true events. The locations, the sets, they all look real, and I think the reason for these things to stand out is because most thrillers we see, they just show places which you cannot believe it exists in India. The forensic labs they show, the police stations, the government buildings, the hospitals. It all just looks so fake that you don't believe it at all. But in this film, it's very believable and real. It feels like they really went to the real locations. If anything happens in the film, it will happen the way it is done, in a procedure, what happens in real life. It's not that the hero found out something and he's on his own mission to solve it and nothing will happen and he solves. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't feel like a movie. It follows rules, it follows the law, which is very important to make it believable, which I even talked about in Pankoshiam. That's why that film is so great, because it follows all the rules and laws. Even the ending in this film is very, very unexpected. It doesn't end with a conclusion. It doesn't tie all the loose ends. It leaves some space for us to think about, to wonder what happens next. And I think this freshness of watching something different in India is what appealed to me, and I am impressed by the film. At the end, it just leaves you happy, that I didn't waste my time watching a film, the investment of my time was worth it. And I think at the end, that's what matters, that I'll remember this film for a longer time instead of just forgetting in 2 days. Now this film takes one more leap with how good technically it was. I love the cinematography, I love the mood, I love the lighting. There were so many night shots, the way the camera moved, the sound design, all of it adds to the mood of the film. It is not a horror film, but I felt scared watching it, and that's an achievement. I didn't even notice the editing. That's how good it was. Now there was some little bit of action at the end of the film. I liked it, they went all out, but sometimes it felt off, but it was worth mentioning. Coming to the performances, I think every actor just felt real. They were that good in their roles. No one particularly stood out for me, and in some sense that is a good thing. Guys, if you're finding value in this video, do the like button, because when you do that, YouTube promotes this video and more people can watch it. The best films of 2020 video is coming out, so to get that, do subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notification whenever it comes out. Now coming to the issues in the film, first thing is that there was no depth in the characters, not at all, not even in a protagonist. All the characters were very stereotypical. Oh, he's a psychologist, he's a hacker, this is an independent women officer. Like that's it, nothing more to them. Still, the film is very thrilling and captivating, but I didn't care if these guys solved the case or not, because there was no motivation for them. They just wanted to solve the case, that's it, because it's a job, right? Nothing more to it. DCP Catherine Maria, she was unable to solve this case. She was getting so much pressure from the top, but I didn't care if she solved it or not, because there was nothing else to her in the story. What's her family dynamics? What's her motivation? What she wants to do? Is she carrying a baggage? Like, why is this case so important to her? Of course, the police officers are getting killed, but still, what's more to it? Even a main character, he has a wife and a kid, and that's it. He's a psychologist, he wants to become a consulting criminologist, like that's it. Like there's nothing. There's even a sequence where he's like, I have to solve this case, as my first case, and like, okay, if you say so. Like, I don't understand why, but if you're saying so, I'll believe it. See, that's why that character depth is missing. The second point is very common in most thrillers, where you want your main character to shine out, that he's intelligent, so you dumb down other characters. characters. Like in this film, the psychologist is a detective also, but the police officers are just dumb. They cannot, decipher anything. They cannot come up with any idea. Even the idea they come up with is ridiculous. Come on. Why would you send two men? At least send three men so they can, look for each other. If one get busy, so the other two can take care of each other. And that happened in the film, right? They were just two. She got busy and a driver was gone. That's just a bad idea. Now I'll accept I'm just doing a nitpicking there. But still, just to make your main character sound interesting, sound intelligent, you're dumbing down other characters, which is not fair to them. Honestly. Revealing the exposition. Exposition is basically, the plot details which we audience need to know to understand the story and the progression. But in this film, very common issue in most thrillers, it is just given to us. Like Tenet, if you have seen it, like Christopher Nolan movies. Now what Christopher Nolan does, he tries to give that exposition visually, but this film doesn't do that. Here we just see the characters talking to each other and giving out the exposition first to understand. And that puts you out of the film because now they are not talking like characters, like people. They're talking to us to give us information. That's it. It doesn't feel natural. And it's not just this film. A lot of films have this issue. A lot. Now there were some scenes which were very illogical to me, and I was watching it on Discord with other viewers and even they were laughing at some of them. And that breaks the flow. You're into the film, you're very interested, it's full of suspense, and then something illogical happens and we're like, oh, really? There are scenes, which we think happens like this because we have seen that in some other films. So a reference to show a scene is another film. Then how can it be real? It just shows how we are influenced by the cinema and we think what we see in it is real. But that's not the case. And there were a lot of scenes like this throughout the film. But these things you can still call cinematic liberties and you can, let them go. The next point, I'm very particular about this, giving the serial killer a emotional backstory and in a way justifying his actions. Now I don't think this film totally justifies it, but giving him an emotional backstory and all of that stuff, it does make him look like an anti-hero. I'm not a big fan of that backstory and the way they treated it, but that's the decision on the director, so whatever he wants to say, he will do that. It all depends on the director, what he wants to say through his story. I cannot go change it, but I'm not a big fan of that. Last thing, the BGM. Sometimes it was really good and sometimes it felt off. I remember in the climax, the BGM totally changed and it felt like I'm watching Avengers because the music felt like Thanos is going to enter now because it was so loud and high, which felt out of place because throughout the film the music was very different and I really liked it. Even the ending, it felt like a Christopher Nolan movie had ended, which felt really off. So guys, that was a video. Really impressed by the film. There are issues with the film, but I really like the attempt. And I think it's easily one of the best thrillers for me in India. And no surprise that it comes from Malayalam cinema. So guys, that was a video. If you like this, hit the thumbs up button. Share this video. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed yet, check out the videos. And if you like them too, do consider subscribing. And I'll see you next time.